Well, whether you're talking to a close friend or casual colleague, it is pretty common nowadays to hear about how stressed someone is. In fact, the American Psychological Association found that about 1 in 6 U.S. adults report feeling stressed every single day. Joining me now for a better understanding of the causes as well as some possible stress cures is Brad Sjostrom, Director of Behavioral Health at Advent Health Porter. Brad, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Let's start right there with that number 1 in 6. That feels pretty low to me based on some conversations I have with folks.
No, absolutely. And stress in and of itself isn't bad.
Yeah.
It's when there's too much of it, when it's constant, when it's persistent, then it becomes problematic.
We know April is Stress Awareness Month. So what are some of the most common sources of stress that you're seeing right now?
A couple of things: work, family, relationships, and then we have externals. We have what's going on in the world, we have what's going on in our neighborhoods, and there's this constant barrage of us getting information. So it's, what do we do with it all? How do we handle it? A lot of things are out of our control.
When you talk about that barrage of information, part of that is living in this digital age that we're in, right?
Yes.
Is unplugging a key part of all of this?
It is. I mean, I think we all know that.
Yeah.
It's difficult to do. Yeah. We get into wormholes, we get into doom scrolling, but we have to stop ourselves from going too deep into that cycle.
You talked about how some stress is okay. Could you elaborate on that a bit further? I think people view that word as a really bad thing altogether.
They do. Tomorrow's tax day. People are stressed out about that. So that stress should compel people to get their taxes done.
Sure.
And that's good stress. It motivates us to do things.
The difference then, of course, is when it becomes too much or too much to overcome.
Yeah, when there's constant stressors, when there's things that, there's problems I just can't solve because there's too many of them. And it's the buildup, and I'm in this constant state of fight or flight. It takes a toll physically and mentally.
I can imagine that can be difficult to focus in on as a person, to really realize where you're stepping over that line. Do you have some advice on how to follow that?
Yeah, if a person reaches a point, they're not sleeping, they're not eating, they feel irritable, and there's just a general lack of pleasure in anything they're doing, they need to take a step back, maybe take a break, maybe take a vacation, talk to someone, and if it gets to the point where it's unrelenting, they should see a mental health professional.
When we talk about, I guess, day-to-day things we can do, I imagine before we get to that point, there might be some smaller steps we can take as well.
Absolutely. Planning ahead, being prepared, knowing that not everything goes as planned, but being conscious of the way one's feeling.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
What do we know about how stress impacts somebody both mentally and physically if it goes unchecked for too long?
I mean, if it goes unchecked for too long, people can become anxious, they can become depressed, they can have a state of they're always worried, they're feeling overwhelmed, and then sometimes becomes paralyzed, that they can't get anything done then.
Right, and then that just builds and builds
Then
and
it
builds.
builds and
Makes it
builds.
worse, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we talked a bit about recognizing those steps for when you're feeling stressed and some steps on what to do about it. You also have some resources, I imagine, to help people out.
Absolutely. At Advent Health Porter, we have programs that are useful. We have individual counseling, we have group counseling, and just basic steps people can take day to day. Focus on their breathing, make sure they're exercising, getting a good night's sleep. I mean, all of those things are easily said, but they're not easily done.
Absolutely. Good steps to follow, and,
Yeah.
and hopefully everyone watching now feels a little less stressed.
We hope so.
Brad, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today.
You're welcome.
In Stress Awareness Month, something we definitely need to keep talking about.
Yep.
Appreciate your time today.
Yeah, thank you.